Wow. Oh god. Shit. Oh my god. It's crazy. This episode to me was like almost like a reminder of like what earlier AOT was, you know? Like there was so many sort of like similar situations, and you know that things so similar but like so different because of obviously everything that's happening right now. But like everything, I mean, the first thing I wrote, which I think was actually in the last episode as well, but I didn't get around to talking about, was the like the original King Fritz and Amir is almost exactly like comparable to Eren and Historia. You know, obviously Historia being pregnant, Eren going out to basically destroy the world, which is, you know, in the original King Fritz, you know, basically it's his will to do that kind of thing. So it's comparable there. You've got, you know, Gabi turning up to save Kaya, similar to Sasha. You've got them all being trapped in the fort, being surrounded by Titans. And then you have that sort of sequence like where they're all like on the outside, and they do like a similar sort of rotation shot, similar to what they did when they were sort of like on the inside in the basement with like all of their rifles and stuff. Absolutely amazing. Like all of these callbacks to previous, like you know, I mean they obviously called back to with Pixis now is officially, that's it, he's gone. I mean, I never thought that he would ever, you know, come back after being made a Titan. You know, it didn't seem like he would end up being a Titan shifter. I mean, that would be mad. But yeah, he's officially gone, and Armin basically saying, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think if you think about it, like looking back, that the only reason that this sort of story ever continued on past episode 9, I think, was because Pixis was the only one to actually stick up for like Eren, Armin, and Mikasa, right? Like he was the one that basically like stopped that one crazy fucking sergeant or whatever who was wanting to kill him. Basically came in and says, look, you know what I mean? Like clearly he was on our side. Let's look at this rationally, and then gave them a mission for Eren to actually help out and like, you know, place the massive boulder in front of the hole, and he did so. And then because of that, they were able to kind of move forward, and Eren was able to basically, you know, like, and they ended up, we end up here now. But yeah, like everything that it all sort of kind of transpired, I guess, with Pixis doing that. But yeah, so he's officially gone. Niall's gone. I can never remember Niall's name like in the midst of things happening. I always have to kind of like take a minute and just think about it. But obviously I can't do that in the middle of reaction. But it was Niall that was after Kaya, right? And then Gabi took him out. And yeah, that totally makes sense. It means that, you know, it's a time for her to basically, you know, make up for the, you know, the killing of Sasha essentially, and therefore, like Kaya is now, you know, like she doesn't take on that sort of like rage and hatred that is sort of like this constant back and forth of like revenge and everything that, you know. And I mean, I said during the reaction, like at that point, that like if only the world could see it as such, you know, but they can't. And that is the reason why we're at this predicament, this sort of like where it's not really a choice to be made. It's either the genocide, it's the genocide of the Eldians, or it's the genocide of the whole world. Like there is, you know what I mean, everyone else, it's like, you know what I mean, it's not even a choice. So it's, yeah, crazy. The fucking, honestly, props to Mappa in the show. Props to Mappa. Like, I loved the sort of like the aesthetic of this episode so much, because as anything is happening, you can always see the like all of the colossals just like walking, you know what I mean, like past and on their way. It's such a cool, the imagery is amazing of that. It's so well done, and I feel like extra effort was made to just make it like, you know what I mean, just to, like the animation itself was, like I said, it's very much alike to previous Attack on Titan. You know what I mean? Like specifically like season 1. It's very much like that. Another reason why it's comparable, like we go back to early like such early stuff. Like you have, you know, the whole thing with Falco, and Connie's like, he's like, I'm gonna feed him to my mother. Like I didn't even like so many things just like. Yeah, it makes sense that he kind of would. I mean, Connie had kind of given up anyway. Like in a way, like he was just like, I'm just sick of all of this shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, I have a chance here to get my mother back. And that Titan, Connie's mother, has been lying in that house for 4 years, just like that, turtled. But it makes sense for him personally, and it's kind of like. It's crazy that, like, at a point, like, you know what I mean? Like, with this show, it's always like, fucking hell, man. Like, I can't say that this is a wrong choice for him, because it makes sense, you know? And, I mean, even, like, you know, to a degree, you had, until Armin and Mikasa actually met up with, like, sort of Gabi at the end there, they'd kind of, you know, just allowed Connie to kind of, you know, at that point you can probably tell, like, it's just like, well, you know, okay, that's gonna happen. We can't really stop them because they all stopped to obviously help out at the fort. So it's kind of like in their mind that it's like, okay, I guess that's Connie's choice and he's made it, and okay, fine. And it's kind of like an episode of characters kind of sort of trying to convince themselves to accept what's happening. I did say, like, obviously at the end of the last episode that I was interested to see how the other members of the crew would think about what's going on. And Gene was like, where I said that he would be more sort of in line with Armin's thinking, and like, well, you can't like let him just destroy the whole world. that's crazy. That's overboard. But Gene, I actually, like, you know, he's talking himself through it. And almost convincing himself to accept that this is the choice that is like, it's kind of like, it's either us or them. And it's, you know, and they all sat there and realized that what Eren was doing is essentially for them. And it's like, how do you stop him after hearing that, you know? It's like, because it's not like it's just Eren that cares about these guys. You've got them that care about each other. They wouldn't want the world coming at them either, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's an interesting dilemma that the character, it's going to be interesting to see how they go forward. I mean, I always suspected that, you know, Armin would have been the one that was like, the genocide of the whole world. That's because that's not Armin, is it? It's not. It never has been. Connie, I think, we obviously didn't get to really get his view on the whole thing. I think he was just I think in terms of everything happening with sort of Eren and everything like that, I think he's just kind of like, let it be, whatever happens happens. And he only had one thing on his mind from then. It was like, I know, you know, I basically get to have my mother back, and you know, that's what he's doing. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I know that everything is serious at this point. Like, it's not like, you know, there's no real room for, like, you know, for like funny scenes, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it is crazy just to see that change, and it's warranted as well because of all of the shit that's gone on. It is warranted that, you know, Connie used to be the sort of like light-hearted, jokey one that, you know. But it's like once Sasha died, that was it, wasn't it? It was like it's kind of like his heart was sort of like torn, because he always said it's like they were like sort of like two peas, like one half of each other, you know. And it's, you know, it's crazy that I can't believe we've got to this point, man. I love the look of this show. Oh god, it's such a great image. So yeah, Annie's back. Annie's back. Oh man, she's gonna get a shock. She's gonna get a shock. Oh, all of the stuff that she has missed. I mean, it's how are you gonna explain it to her? I wonder, you know, I do wonder if when Eren was talking to all the subjects of Emir, right? Does that technically not mean that... I would think that Annie would be able to hear that as well. But then it'll be like, you know, like she's been out of commission for so long, probably just... I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she has any, like, sensory kind of, you know, like, any sense really at all when she's in there. But the coordinate and everything like that would bypass it, you would assume. Like, it wouldn't just block it out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't think so. But if that is the case, then we'll know next episode, I imagine. Because then Annie will be like, yeah, I heard. But then, like, even then, if she didn't have anything up until that point, then all of a sudden you've got Eren talking to her, basically saying, yeah, I'm basically going to trample the whole world. And she'd probably do, what the fuck? Eh? But what a way to, like, introduce her back into the show. Because, yeah, I fucking forgot about her. There's so much going on that it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, fuck, yeah, of course. But, like, they introduce, like, little sly sort of nods to, like, you know, the Jaw Titan, for example, is the one that can get through hardening. And it's like, oh, well, you know, I guess that's the way that they're going to get Annie out. And then it's this whole thing of Eren essentially takes full control, and he undid the hardening. And I love the way that it was sort of, like, laid out, by the way. Like, I love the fact that it wasn't just, like, because the way that it was said was I undid all the hardening. Now, when you first hear that, you just think, oh, well, yeah, the wall, right? It's just the way that it's being said. But when you think about it, it's undone all of the hardening. All of it is gone. So everything that made up Reiner's armor is gone. That makes sense why he was saying that his armor... I just assumed that, like, his armor got shredded in the battle or something, and there was, like, a sort of a weak spot that he got hit by the wall at, and then therefore that's what caused his injury. But when he undid the hardening, it shredded his whole armor, and then undid obviously the hardening, sort of the ball egg thing that was holding Annie. But that's the thing, is like when Gabi is talking to Armin and basically trying to think of everything, like, is there no way you can talk to him? Is there no way you can do this, that, whatever? If you think that, like, because you would have never have thought that he would have the power to sort of just undo the hardening. What else can he do then? You know? Like, is there, because that's the thing, is there something that possibly can be done? I guess not really, because he can only really control anything to do with the Eldians. He can't control what people outside of them think. So really, I don't particularly know of anything that could be done to stop it from happening. You know, the only way I could probably think is, like, without it being just like a total genocide, and then at the end there is literally only Eldians left, is like they managed to find some form of, you know, place of their own, like their own paradise, if you will, that's like away from everyone else, like, and they basically just live out their lives, sort of living under the radar. But then even then, like, I don't think that's very satisfactory either. So I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that it is just what it is a loop, and it all. But then I don't know. I don't know. I'm so intrigued because that's the thing. Is like the other thing obviously was the pure Titans, right? So the Titans obviously start going for people, right? And of course, Eren, now being fully connected and whatnot, is essentially he's controlling the, like, all of the Colossals. But also, like, you would think that he would be able to control all the Titans, but he doesn't. Now, I don't. It can't be just as simple as, like, oh, well, he just didn't think about that. You know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know if it's a case of him controlling them, like, because there are so many, like, he can only focus on the Colossals, like, and that's it. Like, he doesn't have enough sort of like you know what I mean. I don't think it's gonna be as simple as that. But the other like I mean, these Titans were made by Zeke, so maybe it's just a case of that can't, you know, because they were made by Zeke. That means that, you know, they Eren just you know is unable to control them, because otherwise they probably would have just followed in line with the Colossals, right? So. Oh yeah, another thing as well that I forgot to talk about in the last episode was the first sort of scene was obviously a scene that we have seen before, but it was when Historia was like a little girl, right? And she's obviously got the book, and she's talking with Freya, and Freya's Historia asks like about Ladylike or whatever, right? And Freya basically says like this girl, right? And she points to Ymir, and that's the thing. Is like what I was talking about before. Is like it's like them two are just similar. It's like this is something that's happened before, and I guess like when you talk about this show, like the sort of time travel thing is almost like a loop that like we're coming back around again, you know. Like if you think about like the start of everything that happened with you know, with King Fritz and Ymir, the very like, you know, the very first time that happened, that, you know, it's a loop again. You know, if this is a thing, it is. I guess that's where you can call up Eren and basically say, is he doing the right thing? Obviously not. But how do you turn it around? Because as far as we're aware, the world will just come and kill them off. So what do you do? What do you do? I mean, this is the thing. Like this, you can put this at the feet, I guess, of what's his fucking name? Frickin' Willy. I mean, he's the one that convinced all the world to go after them, right? And that, in turn, basically forced Paradise's hand, and it's like, right, well, if the world's going to be against us, then we're going after all of you. But it's almost like passing the blame of, like, it's kind of like a thing of, like, who started it. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like, because that's the way that, obviously, they've... I mean, I guess if you do look at it, it is kind of childlike the way that they sort of go on about it. Always just passing the buck. Oh, well, you started it first. You know what I mean? Your ancestors did this. Your ancestors did that, and so therefore you have to pay the price. But then you know you go to war to try and it's just fucking hell. I guess it really just shows like how impactful the story is. That you know it makes you look at how silly war all is, and like how it's so like it should be so preventable, yet it still continues and it still goes on. Yeah, I love that line as well, that a devil in all of us. I love that. That's like the first, like, I guess the first point in the story, I guess, where like, you know, where you have two of like essentially different sides who both basically, you know, have completely kind of like 180'd in their hatred of each other, and this sort of like the cycle stops, right? And you have the whole thing of, you know, Gabi basically accepting that she's the devil or whatever, and then you have what's his, it'll take us an age to find, the chef dude, basically came out and said that, you know, that there is a devil in all of us. It's not essentially just the, you know, the devil that is within the Eldians, but it's not as simple as, because what has been talked about like this whole time, you know, with like, you know, the Marlians basically calling them the devils or whatnot, that the devil is essentially just the idea that because they have this like sort of inherent power that turns them into these giant monsters, that's the devil. But what constitutes what a devil is how someone takes that. I mean, you know, yeah, you can have this Titan power and all you want, but if you're a person who's willing to, you know, not willing to actually go ahead and, you know, like kill people. I mean, you could just be a Titan shifter that basically, I don't know, does it as a party trick. Like, obviously you probably wouldn't do it in, you know, the middle of like a, you know, a house, in a house party. But, you know, if you go outside, there's plenty of space, you know, and you could just have one that's chill. I mean, you wouldn't call that person a devil, though, would you? So, you know, it's all about how people are willing to see them, or how people are willing to act with the certain like power thing that they have. There are devils in everyone. You don't have to be an Eldian to be a devil. So yeah, I did like that line, "The devil in all of us." Shardis, I'm so glad he came. Like, we've never seen him. We may have seen like in a flashback of once, like he uses his ODM gear, but yeah, he came in to save the day from like all of those. I feel like it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it was all the cadets that kicked the living shit out of him, and he still came in like a badass and saved the fuckers. Really, really cool. So yeah, getting to see him fight was awesome. And yeah. I think that's pretty much what I've got. I really enjoyed it though. Really enjoyed this episode. Very visually appealing, and I feel like because to me it was a very much a remembrance sort of episode, and like loads of callbacks to earlier AOT that like that's what was, and now we're what is. We are at what is now. So going forward, I feel like it's like, well, that's it. We'll have to. I mean, I'm looking at it now. It says like, you know, now a choice must be made at the bottom there. That must be from the preview or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it is. It's like, now where do you go from here? Like, how does, like, what choice really does? What choice do the Eldians do? I mean, you've got Flock, who's always going to be on Aaron's side. Other than that, I don't know if there's any other Jaegerists around. I don't know how many there are. I'm sure there's a few, but it doesn't really matter at this point for Eren. Like, Eren doesn't really need the Jaegerists because he's got the Colossals. Like, the Colossals is his army, really. Like, he's kind of like a one-man wrecking crew now with all of his Titans. That's all it is. So, you know, the Jaegers, I don't know, like, because what do you... I mean, because realistically, you would think that all of the Eldians could literally just chill now. Like, they could probably just stay on the island and just let things be what they may be. It's obviously not going to happen like that, is it? I mean, they're not. They're obviously going to get involved somehow. But it's like, what, though? I don't know. It's going to be interesting going ahead. I mean, I don't know. Like, for some reason, like, in my head, I just feel like inevitably it's going to come to... You know what I could see? I could probably see the Eldians trying to stop Eren, and by doing so, rid the whole devil name of them, and then therefore peace is made that way. But then, I don't know, man. Because if Eren can see that peace is being made, will he just drop the whole thing? I don't know, man. I don't know. I should stop trying to think about it, because I'll be sitting here forever trying to think of how things could go and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, that is all I've got. So I could probably see the Eldians trying to stop Eren. I could probably see the Eldians trying to stop Eren